Okay, welcome to today's live stream. Today's January 13th, 2025, and I'm going to be live streaming just my progress on this sculpture study today. Maybe I'll get to working on the details of the face, so we'll see about that. If you guys have any questions, if you're watching on YouTube, that's the easiest way to ask questions. And I'll try to keep an eye out for those. And also on Instagram right now I can see the Instagram feed, so unlike this morning when I was doing the drawing session, then I couldn't see when people would ask questions, but now I can see this a little bit better. Let's see, and I will just be working on maybe some texturing. Maybe I'll get into the details of the hair. Maybe we'll see. I got to decide what I want to do with the hair, and yeah, we'll just keep going. I think I'll do something similar, but something similar to what I'm seeing there with the hair. I'll have it coming back and then wrapping around this back side of the portrait. So imagine that the hair is coming down and then falling this side like that. Let's see. So I could do that with the hair, or I could also just have it, maybe I'll just put it up in a bun, because that'll give me a little bit more clay to work with in the meantime. I don't know if I like that, so I'm just gonna put a bun for now. Just a piece of clay. And maybe I'll start working on the details of the face. Let's do that. On YouTube, somebody's asking, hi, what clay are you using? This is Chavant NSP medium clay. It's actually the green medium mixed with just a little bit of hard. I think the hard was the tan color when they had it, so when you get the Chavant, it'll be a little bit more green. But yeah, I recommend, I like the Chavant medium. It's worked really well for me and for what I do. It's a non-dry modeling clay, so that means it's for reuse. It's not for making a finished sculpture in this clay. If you want it permanent, then you have to make a mold and cast it, in another material. Going to come to the side and work on the profile a little bit. Profile takes a while to get looking good. It's one of those tricky areas, but if you can build an accurate profile, then the rest of the features will come together a lot easier. Not accurate. I'm not super worried about like capturing the likeness of this specific person, but just getting a profile that feels like somebody could look like that without it feeling off or amateur. Somebody says that's really expensive. The Chavant, yeah, it is kind of expensive. When I do get it, I usually get it. I get like 40 pounds, because then it becomes cheaper per pound. But if you only get like 2 pounds, it's like $40 a pound US dollars, or no, like 20. It's like $20 to $30. What is it? It's like $30 for 2 pounds if you just get 2 pounds. But then if you get 40 pounds, it's like 300 or something. So it becomes cheaper per pound, but you have to get a lot of it, and most people don't need that much of it. So if you're looking for a cheap clay, an inexpensive clay, then I would just get some. There's a Nara brand, Nara, N-A-R-A, brand non-drying modeling clay from Hobby Lobby. That's the cheapest I've found. And there's also one from Dollar Tree if you're in the U.S. These are U.S. Stores, so I don't know if they are international, but if you get the there's also a non-dry modeling clay from the Dollar Tree that is pretty nice. It works pretty nice. Very similar, a little bit softer, but a lot cheaper. And so it's good if you're trying to save money and you don't want to spend too much money on clay and want something similar, but a more budget option. And those clays, those can be like $1 a pound instead of, $5 to $10 a pound, or $20 a pound for some clays. Just trying to put the ear, but that doesn't feel quite right. Somebody says yes, correct. Yeah. Cheaper clays are fine. This is just one that I've grown accustomed to and I've liked. I think it's about the same. It's like in that same price range as Monster Clay, which is also a common clay, though I prefer this to Monster Clay. Just personal preference. And I have some Monster Clay. Maybe I should do a giveaway with that. I have some Monster Clay that I purchased that I probably won't end up using. maybe I should do maybe I should use that for a giveaway. He says, excellent work, brother. Keep it up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, this one's coming along okay. It's been a fun sculpture. We all work on some of the texture at some point. Maybe not right now. Yeah, maybe I'll get into doing a little bit of the texturing work. So the texturing, I really like this tool. This it's like a little metal spatula. I think if you search metal, I think it's like a wax carving tool. I think that's what you have to search to get something that's like this. It's like a rounded spatula on one end and a little bit thinner of a spatula on the other. And I just found it works really well for texturing. And I'm trying to keep whatever visual information that I've put in place and just roll the tool over the surface, going against the form. So instead of coming along with the form like this, like the leg is going this way, and instead of the strokes being in that direction, I try to do the strokes against that direction. Some of them might be more angled up, some of them might come down a little bit more. But I found that's a much better way of smoothing out the texture to make it look more soft and subtle. And that's a tip I got from a professional sculptor during a competition. I asked him what he'd recommend, and he shared that tip, and I found it to be really useful. Very, very beautiful, somebody says. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sometimes I use normal colored clay and just mix it all up. It becomes dark green color. It's really cool, honestly. After a while, when kept aside, some of it hardens, which is what I prefer. Yeah, that's yeah, I've done that. In fact, there's some videos on the channel showing that you can mix all the crazy colors together, because those cheaper clays, they usually come in like a bunch of bright colors, and I prefer one consistent clay. So you just melt it all together in like an old pot that you can use just for these types of projects. You can even mix a little bit of beeswax, maybe just a little bit of paraffin wax. I've seen people do that. I've done it, and it firms it up a little bit if it's bothering you how soft those cheaper clays are. A little bit of wax can help to firm it up a little bit. And yeah, they work perfectly fine. And the softer clay is fine if you're doing larger sculptures, but when I'm doing stuff this size or smaller, having a clay that's a little bit more firm is preferable, especially when I'm handling the sculpture so much and moving it around. And then I prefer a softer clay. Or I should say, I prefer a harder clay. I said that wrong. Softer is better for larger sculptures. Where you have to move a lot of material quickly. This is exactly, I'm now just using normal plasticine. I can't afford professional sculpting clays. Yeah, yep, well, it works perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. And it's a cheap, nice cheap option. And I've used those for mold making. I've also used cheap mold making materials oh man, setups fell down. Oh, there goes that. I'm gonna switch to a black background now because I don't want to get up. But yeah, the cheaper clay works just fine, and for mold making as well. It's oil and wax based. In fact, I like the dollar store, the Dollar Tree clay. I like it better than some professional clays that I've tried that are like really common among the professional sculptors in Utah. It's that one's like I think it's JMac clay medium, JMac medium or JMac soft. I don't know, one of those. But it's like a really common clay for professional sculptors, and it's a little bit more expensive than it's more expensive, and I didn't like it as much as just melting the Dollar Tree clay together and getting a softer feel. Or it's like silkier, I don't know how to describe it, but the cheap dollar store clay is a little bit preferable. I like it a little bit more. It says the thing is I don't use foil to bulk up the armature most of the time. The clay slips off and I don't have a thinner wire to wrap around the main armature. Yeah, that's the thing with these with softer clays, or if you're working in like in a warm environment where it's where the clay can become really soft, then you actually do have to worry about that. But yeah, aluminum foil is a fine solution to that problem, as you've mentioned, and or additional wire, or yeah, or using a firmer clay. Adding a little bit of wax to your clay might be beneficial. A little bit of beeswax, but then that increases the cost and the labor associated with the clay, so it's not worth it for everybody, but it is an option. Saludos desde Colombia. Gracias por compartir. Saludos. I wonder, does YouTube translate this in real time? Has it gotten that that effective at translating? That it can translate it live in real time? If so, that's pretty impressive. This AI stuff is pretty incredible. Somebody says, hello, good work again. Hello. Those of you on Instagram, those 4 of you currently watching. Thank you, I appreciate it. I also don't make a permanent figure, so I don't use the foil because I reuse the same clay for another figure. Yeah, that's why this clay is good for reusing. It's doesn't dry out and you can use it over and over again. But, you know, you might consider making a mold and casting it if you have a sculpture that you really like. It's a shame to reuse the clay on a sculpture that was well done. But if you're just practicing and you're not in love with a piece, then yeah, you can just reuse it. So here's a look at the texture, that lightly tooled texture after I've textured it, and this is, let's see, and before it was something, it was more like this texture over here. So somebody says, hello from Italy, I'm at work too. Well, that's great. That's great. Sculpting, at work sculpting from Italy. There's a lot of great artists that have come from Italy. think I have family in Italy that is the Benedicts. So my mom's side of the family, the Benedicts from Italy. Somebody's saying, tengo una academia en Colombia. ¿Te gustaría dar un par de clases por aquí? So they're saying I have an academy in Colombia, and if I would like to give classes through here. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. You'd have to reach out to me over on maybe through Instagram to work out the details. Andrew Joseph Keith. I mean, you could show this to your class, but if you want something specific, then it has to be, I have to work out those details one-on-one. So yeah, reach out and maybe we could work something out. I was saying I use water-based clay. Well, that's great. That's a person that was saying that they're working right now too. So yeah, feel free to send me images of your work. I like seeing people's sculptures. And then sometimes when people comment on Instagram, I lose those once the live is done. Then I can't find the comments. So if you reach out and say, hey, this is the sculpture I was working on that I mentioned, then I can see what students are doing, which I always enjoy. I can't always give critiques. That takes a little bit more time. So, but I always like to see people's progress and work. Man, I'm 16 and have exams next week. No way I'm making molds. I'm self-taught, just trying to get better as a hobby. Yeah, well, if once you get good enough to where you want to start selling your stuff, mold making's going to be a good thing to consider learning. At 16, that's you can start selling work. If you're making good work, then nobody really cares what your age is, and you can, depending on how dedicated you are and how much time you spend. But with exams, those do take up some time. But then I think, people find time for social media, which is generally less productive than being creative. So if you can find time for that, then sometimes you can find time to create, which is what I'm trying to help motivate people to do. That's what this is all about, these live streams. So I figured if I was doing these live streams as a way to commit to sculpting more daily, doing some sort of sculpture every day, then I could use it as content and as a way to keep myself motivated to spend time with clay in my hand That time is precious. Somebody says, hello, my name is Juan Manuel from Peru. How long have you been practicing sculpture? I've been sculpting for about, I guess, 8 years, maybe going on 9 years. So almost a decade of sculpting. Really got into it in college and just fell in love with it. Just trying to make it work. Speaking of that, be sure to check out my sculpting courses. Oh, actually, I guess my free PDF might be an easier place to start. So there's a PDF. It's an assignment checklist for the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course. You can find the link in my bio if you're on Instagram, or a link in the video description if you're on YouTube, or wherever you might be watching this. Should be able to find that link. And that free PDF is has links to all of the free lessons from the courses that I teach. And so if you want to get better but you don't know where to start, or you don't know, sometimes having a checklist is just helpful. So that's why I made it. And so it's just a PDF that has the the video topic, the assignment, and then you can check it off as you go through and do those. And then if you decide to get the premium course, the PDF also has links to those videos for people that have purchased the full course. So it's just a resource that people might find helpful. I've tried to put out a lot of free content as a way to, as a way to just share this knowledge, but then also as a way to advertise for the premium stuff, because that's how I survive. Can only do so much on the free stuff. I wouldn't be able to do so much free stuff if it wasn't for those that invested. So I really appreciate those that invest in joining the online courses. But yeah, that free PDF is available. There's also one for the portrait sculpting course. What do you need?
Oh, James, he wants to be this.
Well, I can't do it. I can't watch him right now. Okay. Hey, James. Come and grab him, Amanda. Don't open the door, Amanda. While I'm doing this.
Baby shark? Baby shark?
Did Mom go?
Yeah.
Okay.
She went to the gym.
Okay. I'm almost done. Let me see how much time. Yeah, I'll be done in a little bit. Put something on for James for now, okay?
Yeah. James, come on.
James, go with Amanda.
Do a baby shark.
Come grab him. Get him out, Amanda. Don't do that. It says, thank you for your great job. It's amazing. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It's coming along. Slowly. As I turn this the other way and observe the hips, I feel like there are some problem areas. That need some work. Could you give me some, could you suggest some ways to make a base for a figure? I don't have resources for the wooden block technique. I just dig the figure wire into a base of clay, but it's not the best. Well, there's some videos that I have on the Proco 3D channel that goes over different methods for supporting your wire armatures. And so you might find that helpful, those videos. You can see the techniques that I use to support the wire armature. So there's different ways to do it. You can hang the armature from above by using a metal floor flange like this back here. This is a metal floor flange that you can find at most hardware stores, and then just a metal pipe, and then you just get another an elbow joint that goes out, and then you can just hang some wire from above and attach the armature to some clay on a baseboard, and then attach it to the pipe from above, and that'll give you something. Let's see. I don't know if you can see what I'm. So you just have you know, a piece of metal pipe over top, and then you let down some wire, wrap it tightly around the top, and then that can support the clay. That's probably the simplest and maybe the cheapest way to get an external support. If you can't get these, then you can even just take a block, like a block of wood or a 2x4 or something, and then glue it in place or nail it in place onto a wood board, and then build the same thing. You know, a piece of wood coming out this way, a piece of wood coming down, and then wrap some wire around the wood, and that'll give you some support for larger sculptures. Yeah, if you're just doing the sculpture like stuck into a base of clay, it's not going to be very stable. So, so yeah, something like that might help. Came in late, but thanks for the lesson. Yeah, no problem. Today's been a little bit more laid back, maybe a little bit low energy. I don't know. I'm tired, but I'm sticking to my resolution of doing these live streams every day. If you could give advice, oh wait. Hello, Andrew. I'm Sebastian. I'm a big fan of your work and of your art. Greetings from the Basque Country, Spain. If you could give advice to yourself from 10 years ago when you started to help you improve in your learning process, what would you tell yourself? If I could give myself advice to help me improve, let's see. Advice to help me improve from 10 years ago. Well, I guess I'd encourage myself to be consistent, and let's see, that maybe I would have encouraged myself to start a social media, like a YouTube channel, and post more consistently back then, because I think that's a couple years before I started. And that was really when I saw a lot of improvement, was when I was just consistent with creating content, because I decided I was going to post something art related every day on Instagram. And when I made that decision, I wanted to post things that were well done. And so that really made a big difference. I think I also might encourage my younger self to look for avenues to sell, to be thinking about that more, and try to create artworks that I feel comfortable selling, and then find places to sell those works, because that's a skill in and of itself, and I'd say it's a skill I still need to work on, and it's like a task that's important, that I'm still trying to figure out. So figuring out how to market and sell art, I think it's a good thing to be thinking about, even when you're beginning. So even when you're beginning, you can if you take the time and effort, you can usually create something that somebody would be willing to invest in, though it might not, it might take a while, or it might just be a friend or family member that does that. But those are some things that come to mind. Okay, I think I might be needing to wrap this up pretty soon. But let's see, we got another question. What do you think about modern art, like the ones everyone makes jokes about? Well, I probably make jokes about it as too. I probably make jokes about it as well. There's actually a video that I did that a little while back. I think it was called like a real exposes modern art scam or something like that. But I was talking about that basically what happened was modern art was taken over by relativists. And relativism is basically the notion that nothing's better or worse than anything else. It's an absurd claim, because we all know some things are better than other things. But this philosophy gained a lot of popularity, especially among academia and atheists, because if you're atheist, if you don't believe in a creator, then you do kind of live in a relativistic framework, because morality is just basically what people decide. It's kind of it's like a cultural thing, and so beauty could also be in that category if you're a relativist. You know, what's beautiful. This is where the phrase beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's relativism. So it's something that's so common that, you know, the most common art phrase is relativist. It's basically there's no good art, there's no bad art. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which I don't believe. I think there is, you know, ugly art. I think there is beautiful art, objectively beautiful. And but a lot of people don't want to take it that far, and a lot of people would say that beauty is in the eye of the whole beholder. Is basically you can't criticize art because everybody has their own taste. But as somebody that's not a relativist, I can say no. There are objectively ugly works of art that should not be promoted, and the people that promote and celebrate these works that are basically just a way of destroying the category of art. It's like if you open the category so large that it encompasses everything, then you basically destroy the category. And we see this with all kinds of things. But when you do that with art, when you say, well, everything is art, well, then nothing's art. You know, then art doesn't have a meaning, because if one word means everything, then it basically means nothing, because there's nothing that it excludes. But it is it's a deep philosophical question. Like, is art objective? Or is there objective beauty? Or is beauty entirely subjective? It's a difficult question to answer. But when it's taken to its logical conclusion, these people that take that relativistic framework and then create basically garbage and then call it fine art, and then people that pretend that it is the same as other works that are done masterfully or that are beautiful. You know, when we put on this facade and pretend that what we're seeing is good instead of bad, then, you know, everybody just goes crazy. We just go crazy. We get, you know, bananas duct taped to a wall. But I think it all starts. Nobody wants to connect it, but I think it all does start with atheism, and by its extension relativism, because if that's true, if there is no ultimate judge of, you know, good and evil, right and wrong, beautiful and ugly, then relativism is true. But I don't think that's true. I don't think relativism is true. Somebody says maybe it's just the lens. Oh, what's somebody talking about? Like the lens through which we view the art. Oh no, they're talking about the extended leg seems a little short. The extended leg, this leg that's coming down, seems a little short. Maybe, could be. I'll have to double check the clay. Which clay is this? This is Chavant NSP medium clay. It says, dang, what you said is so true. I believe the same. Banana duct taped to a wall is so real. Have you ever sculpted anything from the sculptures? There are a lot of great stories to draw from. Sculpted anything from the scriptures. I misread that. So let's see, have I? I've done some Greek. I did some Greek, like Poseidon. I think I sculpted some Greek stuff. But I don't think I've done, and I've sculpted Christ, so I have some sculptures that I've done of Jesus Christ. But I haven't done too many Bible characters. But that's something that I was maybe hoping to get into because there are interesting stories, and there's even like I like, you know, these kind of superhero like physiques. Like we did this little bodybuilder guy. That was a fun sculpture that are really muscular, that are strong, almost like superhuman. And the Bible, you know, Samson is an example of that. That is kind of this warrior, not a particularly good man, but kind of a warrior who was used or who was called to defend Israel, and God basically said, as long as you don't cut your hair, then no one will be able to like triumph over you. Like you'll be able to defeat anybody that comes against you. And then there's the whole Samson and Delilah, where they send a woman to find out his weakness, his the trick, and then eventually she does, and he is defeated. You know, that's a really cool story. So maybe doing something with Samson would be interesting. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to draw from the Bible, and that's where a lot of great masterful sculptures were, especially originally, they were either done of Greek mythology, which is gods created in the image of man, or they were done based on Christian theology, man created in the image of God. But either way, there was like a religious justification for the amount of time and effort these artists were spending on studying the human form. And I think that was important for art to get to where it is today. I think without that moral justification, or that religious cult, like even if the artist wasn't religious, the culture they were living in was hungry for this artwork that was representative or naturalistic, we could call it, like realistic, or even hyper anatomical, whereas like more than realistic, it was like a study of the anatomy of the figure and all that. And so I think without that religious undertone in the cultures, that these masterful works of art wouldn't have come about. And you know, people may disagree, that's fine, but that's an opinion that I've come to. Good afternoon. Will you leave the entire step-by-step on your Instagram? Yeah, I'll probably leave this live stream up on the Instagram. It'll also be up on YouTube, and I might do on my YouTube there, and I might do videos going over the process with a little bit more detail. How do you plan to make this current sculpture to stand? I don't know. Well, I was thinking maybe I'd build a box around it, like a frame, like a wood frame, where she's actually touching parts of the frame, like her toes, and then maybe here and parts of it are touching the frame, so that you can just see the figure from maybe this side, and it's like an open frame. I thought something like that would be cool, but I haven't decided yet exactly how I'm going to do it. Okay, I better get going. So, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out the links in the description if you're interested in sculpting, or in my ebooks that go over like figurative art in general, an artist's X-ray of vision, the male figure, and there's one on the female figure, and you might find those helpful. There's also my online courses. There's the free PDFs on the figure sculpting course. They're assignment checklists, and it has a lot of free lessons, so I hope you take advantage of those if you're interested in that. And yeah, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Like the video if you're on YouTube or on Instagram. That helps, I think. And I'll try to keep going, and I hope you guys keep going with trying to stay creative and productive. Here's a look at the sculpture where it's at right now. It's coming along slowly. I think this is the fourth sculpting session, and it's just getting a little bit better each time. So, all right, we'll see you guys around. Stay creative, stay productive.